right, we're pulling up to the Ocho. It's eviction day, and we're gonna see if they're still here or not. My gut says they won't be here because they don't want the police involved, but I've been wrong before. So I think that's one of our guys who's here to help with the eviction. And oh, they're Mountaineer. The truck is still here. They might still be here. Those dummies. That's him. That's one of the people right there. Still here. All right, the sheriff just showed up early, 15 minutes early, and they've got 2 vehicles here, so that's good. We know the occupant's still here, so we'll get out and see how all this goes. So that is the police going to get them out. We know there's people in there. I'm not sure how many are in there, but I know at least one of the gentlemen who challenged the eviction in court is there. These people moved in after another tenant moved out. They were related to her, or one was an ex-boyfriend, never on the lease, never paid rent, and one judge granted him an extension because he didn't have anywhere to go, and that's how we ended up in this squatter situation. It's been crazy. It's taken forever. So it's an exciting day for us to finally get them out, and I'll actually talk later more about the whole situation and how it transpired, but now we're just seeing if they'll open up and let the sheriffs in.
Sheriff's office, open the door. Sheriff's office, open the door. Okay, you guys should have been already out. Well, we got a couple of those. What's your name?
So there are obviously people still in there. I heard a female's voice, so. I've said this before, they were never on the lease, never paid any rent. The old tenant moved out on her own accord, and they moved in after her. Supposedly one is her ex, one was the ex's sister, another sister, and supposedly one of the sisters, sister-in-laws, whatever, was there to clean for 2 days, and that's how she got the keys. And then she let everybody else in. Everybody just stayed there, wouldn't leave. Ended up having to go to court. The judge granted them another hearing for some reason because he said they didn't have anywhere to go. Not that I have no idea how that matters, but according to the law and different things, they should have been kicked out a long time ago. But as you learn, if you go to court and deal with judges, that doesn't always happen. They have a lot of power on what they decide to do and how things go. And we have no idea how much stuff is in there. We did not bring a dumpster, have a dumpster ready, just because we weren't sure how much stuff there would be. If anything, I doubt they moved a bunch of furniture in there, but there's probably a bunch of trash and different stuff in there. So there's also a garage. We'll check out the garage, see how much stuff is in there. There might be stuff in there because we had to do an eviction on number 1 up there a few weeks ago. That one's pretty much done now, the remodel. And we think that she put a lot of her stuff into this garage, this unit's garage. So we'll see how that looks. Here is the garage and what it looks like. And we think a lot of the stuff is still from the other eviction that we did about a month, 6 weeks ago, where those tenants put a bunch of their stuff in this garage for this unit, and that's where all that came from. So they're clearing out the garage over there. A lot of the same stuff we cleared out last eviction. And then some of the people who are in here, there's at least 5 people in there, are taking some of their stuff out. So I guess that'll make it slightly easier to remove everything. All right, so here's our first look of what it looks like inside. I didn't think there would be much stuff in here, but there we go, sorry. There's definitely some things. It doesn't smell horrible. I guess that's nice. But definitely, they didn't think they were gonna have to leave for some reason. And it is definitely posted and known that it was today. Ugh, sorry for showing that. It's actually not as disgusting as the last unit we did the eviction on. That was horrible, and they had kids living there, and there was just trash and food and just junk everywhere. That's weird. Feathers in the wall. Okay. One tiny little hole. No, it's actually way better than I thought it would be, so that's nice. But still obviously a horribly frustrating situation. And they do have cars, they do have vehicles they're loading stuff into and bringing those back to get more stuff. So I'm not sure where they're going, but they do have cars, they're not just completely destitute. So here's what it looks like after all their stuff's out. And we got most everything out in about half an hour. It did not take too long. And this one is actually way easier and way better than the last one we did. It was just full of crap, but we'll show you. The garage was full of stuff, so we'll show you how much stuff they still have in the yard. They broke that window. I mean, it needs new windows anyway, so we're measuring right now. For new windows, you can see the seal was broken anyway. The tenant upstairs came down. He's really cool. It's like, I just want to shake your hand and thank you so much for getting them out. I'm like, I'm sorry it took us so long, but it's nice to be able to help the other tenants out too. And now get some, hopefully, better tenants in here who pay rent and who, you know, have a lease and stuff. So we will get this one kind of cleaned up, rehabbed. We've been painting cabinets, painting counters. The appliances are okay. We'll take a look at those closer. The fridge is actually, I mean, it's disgusting, but not as bad as it could be either. I know, it's still pretty bad, but we've seen much worse. And then, yeah, I still want to think about what I'm doing with this building, if I want to sell it or keep it. And yeah, this carpet is so disgusting. Oh my God. This is kind of the last of the bad tenants who was left over from the previous landlord, who I think just kind of stuck a bunch of people in here right before he tried to sell it without doing much due diligence. And there's still, I think there's still 2 tenants who were here, but they've been good. They've been paying rent. One of them's the one upstairs who shook my hand and said thank you. So that hasn't been too bad. So there we go. Eviction done. I guess for part of the story, the squatters here, I said a little bit of it. A lady lived here. One of the squatters claimed he was her ex, had a kid with her, claimed she found a new boyfriend who he thought was her uncle for a long time, and they all lived here together. Just everything he said made no sense, and it's probably lies. But then he found out it wasn't her uncle, it was her new boyfriend. He moved out. Then his sister, who was friends with the old tenant, moved in after she left because we weren't renewing her lease. It was super dirty in here. Had dogs in here, which they shouldn't have. So she moved out on her own. And then after that, she moved into quote clean because she claimed she paid her deposit and paid her last month's rent, which we never got. And then she just wouldn't leave. Wouldn't leave. It was weeks. I talked about that on YouTube, on Instagram. And then she finally left. And the day she left, I show up over here. And this new guy, who's called Blue, was here. And he claimed he's living here now. That's the ex. And it was his sister who had moved out. And it turns out another of his sisters was living here. None of them were on the lease. None of them paid any rent. And then they wouldn't leave. Then 2 more people moved in and were here while I was talking to them. And I should have called the police, but then the police were like, well, we can't do much. The sheriff's like, they can't really do much either. You have to go through the court. It's just crazy. So the judge, we had an eviction scheduled already because we knew there were issues when the sister was still here. Went to the eviction court. I didn't go, my lawyer did. And the judge granted them another hearing because the squatter showed up and said, I don't have anywhere to go. Not on the lease, never paid rent, and the judge granted him a hearing for some reason. So we had another hearing, had to wait for that another 2.5 weeks. Go to that, the squatter doesn't show up, so the judge finally gives us the chance to evict them. And then that took another 2 weeks to get scheduled. After that, here we are today, finally doing it. But I just wonder if the squatter would have showed up at court the second time, would the judge have given them more time? It wouldn't surprise me. And the sheriff deputy here was saying that he sees it over and over again. The judges are just not following the law. Just, it's crazy. So he actually had an incident where he's been shot at recently by an eviction tenant. There's an incident in Fort Collins, which is close to us, where a deputy had to shoot and kill during an eviction because a guy pulled a gun on him. Crazy. And then this other deputy said he got chased by a front end loader, where the front end loader actually pushed his car off the property. He said he had, full authority and right to shoot that guy, but he didn't do it, refrained from doing it. And the judge gave that guy 28 days in house arrest, and that was it. No jail time, a slap on the wrist for pushing a cop car off his property with a front end loader. So it's kind of crazy what's going on around here. But that's the story as far as we know it for right now. Hopefully they're gone. We never see them again, but we'll see. So a lot of this stuff was from the storage unit and the garage, which, as I said before, was actually from another tenant we evicted about a month ago. They put a bunch of their stuff in the garage over here. And so we've got a dumpster coming. We have to leave it there for 24 hours, and then we can throw it all away. Usually we have a dumpster here to start with, but we just didn't know how much stuff there would be. Turns out there was quite a bit. So we'll come back tomorrow, see how much stuff is left, and then move on. Oh, a tire. Of course there's a tire. Move on from this situation.